In this Derp Star update, I added some variation to the color and shape of the asteroids. I also made them deal damage on impact. First, I want the asteroids to deal damage, so I'll turn on Contact Monitor and increase contacts reported to 1. Then I'll connect to the body entered signal, set damage to equal the linear velocity length, so that'll be the speed, and then I'll multiply by the size, which is set when the bumper is created, and then I'll use the connector to deal damage, so from self to body, and then damage amount. So now, when you run into an asteroid, it does damage to the player, and it'll do less damage depending on how big the asteroid is. So I do want to decrease this, so I'll multiply it by 0.2, I guess. See if that is more reasonable. Yeah. Now the asteroid chunks are flying away too quickly, so I need to slow them down. So I'll make the physics material unique so it doesn't affect the other bumpers. Turn the friction up and the bounce down so it doesn't go flying as far. And then I'll move the split points further away from each other so the chunks aren't overlapping when they spawn. And then I'll reduce the initial velocity, so I'll multiply the distance times 5. And now, when I break the asteroids, they still fly a little bit, but it's a lot more reasonable. Then I found some more images of rocks on Pixabay. As you can see, they have a pretty good selection. Most of the images on Pixabay are free for commercial use. Just make sure to double check. Now I'll make a new inherited scene from the asteroid and drag the image into the base sprite texture, then create a collision polygon 2D from the image, and copy the collision shape properties and paste them into the collision shape. And I can delete this. Then on the static, I'll make the process material unique so it doesn't affect the parent, and then load emission mask, and I'll load the image. So I'll do this for all of the other variants as well. Next, I'll make an asteroid builder class extending resource. I'll define the class name as asteroid builder, and then I'll make a new variable to hold the asteroid scenes. So this will be an array, and I'll load each variant. So there's 6 in all. And then I'll add a build function, which returns a random asteroid from the list and makes an instance. This is using the RNG autoload script that I made last time. So then in the asteroid belt biome, I need to override the reset bumper function. So I'll declare the builder as asteroidbuilder.new, and then on reset, I'll set the current bumper equal to builder.build. So now it makes a bunch of different varieties of asteroids. But when you break it, it always makes the initial one. So I want to randomize the chunks now as well. So I'll add a size parameter to the build function. I'll set it to null by default, and then check if size equals null. Set the size equal a random float between 0.2 and 0.8. Then I'll set the bumper equal to the builder to the instance of the random asteroid, and then I'll call set size and pass the size. And then I'll return the bumper. So in the bumper class, in spawn chunk, I'll make a new builder equals asteroidbuilder.new, and then I'll set the A equal to builder.build and set the size there. So now when an asteroid breaks, it makes all of the chunks are randomized as well. So as you can see, they're all different. Now I want to change the asteroid colors, so I'll make a new gradient resource. Then I'll drag a copy of one of the asteroids into the main scene, and then I'll edit the gradient. If you click the eyedropper here, then you can select a color from the window. So I'll add 2 more points, set the second color, like so. And I can drag the start and end to give a little bit of a buffer there, and adjust those as needed. Now I'll open up the base asteroid class, and on the sprite I'll set a new shader material And then for the shader, we'll make a new shader. And if you click on shader here, it opens up a script. So I'll go ahead and copy. This is from GDQuest. It's the gradient shaders tutorial. So I'll copy the script here, which turns it into a grayscale and then applies the gradient. So this will just turn it black right now. Then in shader parameters, I'll make a new gradient texture, and then here I can drag in each gradient. So there's the brown, the gray, and the red. And so the definition is a little low here, so if I open up the gradient, then I can move these color locations around until it looks a little bit better. Now I'll add the gradients to a new variable in the asteroid builder. So I'll add the gradient list equals a new array, and then I'll load each gradient. So there's the red, brown, and gray. And then in the builder, I'll set the gradient equal to array rand gradient list. And then I'll get the shader gradient equals bumper dot get node. So it'll be scalar base sprite. And then so I'll get the material. And then the shader param slash gradient. So you have to use the get function because there's a slash in the parameter name. So shader param slash gradient. And then I can set the shader gradient dot gradient equal to the variable. So now it is applying the shader, but you can see they're all changing colors at once because the resource is being shared between them. So I need to, in the base sprite, I'll set the gradient width to 256 since it doesn't need to be that big, and then I'll enable local to scene on the gradient and the material. So now you can see the asteroids are all different colors and they don't change. Now I want the chunks to spawn as the same color as the original asteroid, so I'll add gradient as a parameter, and then I'll check if gradient equals null, then randomize. And then in the bumper class, when in the spawn chunk function, so here I'll pass the gradient, so this will be scalar base sprite dot material get shader param slash gradient dot gradient. So let's see if that works. So that will just pass in the parent's color when the new chunks are spawned. So if I break this one, all of the rocks were red that spawned out of it. So I think that just looks a little bit more natural. Kind of looks like the pieces are actually breaking off. I put a link to the source code in the description if you want to check it out. Thank you for watching this Derp Star update, and have a great day.